Funny thing is that I would like to talk about the US. I came across a title I felt that's very interesting. It said US or America is trapped between the hyperinflations and depressions, which is very true. And this is my own humble opinions. You can judge me. Anyway, I'm not gonna die. I can't be right all the time. This is just a random talk, unscripted. As you know, if you've been watching for a while, then this is unscripted. I don't want it to be scripted because I just want to talk nonsense. So I'm entitled to talk about nonsense. I respect people. I just want to draw facts that I read from certain news. You must understand something. If you're watching news or reading news, you understand that there's no such thing as 100% genuine news. So I do understand it, and I am aware of that as well. So coming from that perspective, that means you would have to read more news, see more commentaries from different angles, from different news portals, from different countries, in order for you to come up with some kind of a summary or conclusions that you feel is close to the reality. So you might judge me for what I say, but I can guarantee you that you don't have 100% facts as well. This is not a challenge. What I'm trying to say is that nobody have 100% facts on what is really going on. So is US having a hyperinflation? Yes, it is having a hyperinflation. Is hyperinflation good? Inflation is not good. Hyperinflation is also not good. Hyperinflation can be very good too. It really depends on which angle you're coming from. I'll just give you some examples. If you are regular people having 2 or 3 part-time jobs every day in order to survive, so you get your paycheck on a daily basis, some people on a weekly basis, or if you are a stable employee in Americas, then you would have problems trying to adjust to the food price, product price, and whatever pricing that is escalating in a rate that your salary or your wage cannot catch up with. So you thought that the government is gonna save me by having a minimum wage. What you never realize is that your minimum wage can never catch up with the percentage of things that is the pricing that is rising really, really fast. So regular people is going to suffer. Regular people is going to suffer. Let's say middle income person, they want to buy some kind of, they want to buy cars. So instead of thinking about buying cars that is being manufactured in America, such as Tesla, they will have to think about something that is cheaper. Potentially thinking about having some cars from China, which is not bad too, or from Japan. It functions. But if you want to have some kind of a luxuries in running your own electric cars, then middle income persons might find that really difficult. I'm talking about people maybe having salaries of $8,000 to maybe $12,000. So I believe they are the middle income. I might be wrong, but if you have 15,000 and above, that is really comfortable for a regular people. But far from being comfortable for rich people. Rich people spend $2,000 on a meal for 2 person at the fine dining, sometimes even more. Something that we cannot even get ourselves to understand how they manage to spend so much money on a meal. So I've even come across some people that they have been trying to save their money in order to experience that luxurious meals. I'm not talking about, wow, would it be worth it? Wow, the quality is really good. I'm not really even talking about that. I'm just talking about they just want to have the luxury of being able to enjoy a meal that is $2,000. Just the feelings of having that, whether or not the quality is good. It wouldn't be bad, I would say. Whether it's going to impress you, that's a different story. So once they have accumulated enough income or money to start enjoying those kind of stuff, they will come to a realization that they're not in the same level as the rich people who would be having it frequently. It's not even something they consider, oh, should I not? Let's just go and have it, maybe 2 times a week kind of things. Then you realize that, okay, it's not about that. So your saving cannot save you because it's going to deflate. The value is going to deflate. What that means is that with $100, it can be spent on buying certain things, but with the $100 after the hyperinflations, you realize that you cannot buy the same amount of things from the supermarket, hypermarket, and that's when you realize that your money has lost its value. And you want to have a raise in the pay. So this is going to create, if hyperinflation comes, that's going to create a very bad cycle in the economy. What that means is that the economy is going to lose its purchasing power. Talking about median incomes and the regular people. You might say that, okay, but the rich people can still spend. But think populations. In terms of the populations, majority of them are made up of the middle income and the low incomes, and they cannot afford to spend so much money. In the economy, they will have less spending power because things has inflated. And the wage is not growing fast enough. It's not on par. So the whole economic activities is going to drop. When it drops, then businesses will suffer. If businesses suffer, then the employer might have problems trying to sustain the employees. So it will come to a point, depending on how much capital reserve they have, means how much money the company has saved. Let's say the company does not have a habits of saving, or the company does not have a margin strong enough to have a lot of savings. Either way, it will have to come to a point whether the employer have to fire himself or will have to fire the employee, something like that. So as the situation gets worse, it will come to a point, one by one, phase by phase, you'll have employees firing employees or not hiring, maybe a hiring freeze, like Facebook, Apple's. I think Tesla also suffered the same thing as well. So they will have some of the employees being fired. So the people that have lost their job definitely will not be able to buy things. So the purchasing power is going to drop even further, close to zero, depending on the saving that the employee have. And I've just recently realized that most of the Americans do not have saving. In fact, they have a lot of debts. So they cannot pay back the debts. And they don't have saving to help them get through the crisis. And everybody will feel really depressed. And that's why the word depression comes in. That means a lot of people get fired for a certain period, maybe 2-3 months. I can't really remember the definition. It's not really important. It actually means that people lost their job for a long period of time. And they cannot find a job very quickly. It's only by the mercy and blessings from God or the employee that they will get through the depressions. So America is being trapped with this. How does this actually happen? It's because the whole economy failed to transit into to be powered by electricity quick enough. Yeah, it's not possible, by the way, you know it. So for example, your airplane, your trains, I don't think there's any training. I mean, high-speed rail. You don't have high-speed rail in America. So the train, your bus, and your homes, and everything else is powered by electricity from the solar, from winds. I mean, the whole country is powered by green energy. it will never come that quick. So it depends on the oil and gas. Because of the oil and the gas, the whole economy suffer because this is going to be another topic next time. Why America is having high oil price thanks to Biden trying to strike a war with Russia as well as China. So, but this is a different thing. You might say, oh, this is the right thing to do. This is not the right thing to do. So if you are willing to bear with the consequence that you're going to have a minimum wage that cannot keep up with the inflation because the oil price is rising. Oil price is the factor that caused America to have hyperinflation. If you can bear that, if you think that I'm not suffering from that because I have more than 15,000 a month, or if you think that I'm rich enough to just go for a $2,000 meal and these are really not bothering me very much, then yeah, do whatever you want. But if you want to think about majority of the people, you're those who have compassion for the people that suffer, and you're willing to come out with your own pocket money to go and save them and help them, then you have the right to talk about this. Then you will start thinking about how the people really suffer, and divorce might happen, children never get raised properly, and social welfare would have to come in to help, and so on. This is really depressing. This is really depressing. The procedures, the paperwork, the durations, the applications, the complications, fail to get approved, blah, 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 blah. You don't want to go through that. You don't understand how painful it is. What about my medical insurance? You better don't get sick. Bad economy is bad for everybody. Most of the people, unless you are an oil and gas companies or weaponry companies, you will enjoy that very much. So back to the beginning, I was saying that sometimes people enjoy the hyperinflation, sometimes people do not enjoy the hyperinflation. It all depends on the angles. Are you the suppliers of certain needs in the supply chain that is highly demanded during the hyperinflation? If yes, you're on the beneficial side. If no, you're on the losing side.